On a distant planet called Vetra, the sky was dark and filled with smoke. The sounds of explosions echoed through the air, and the ground shook as a village was under attack. The alien girl, Lyra, watched in horror as the invaders, fierce and ruthless, destroyed her home. She felt a mix of fear and anger, her heart racing as she saw her friends and family running for their lives. Lyra was small but brave. She had bright green skin and big sparkling eyes that shone with determination. She loved her village and the people in it. But now everything she knew was being taken away. As the invaders tore through her village, she decided she could not just stand by. She needed to help her people. Suddenly there was a loud crash. A spaceship fell from the sky, landing not far from where she stood. Curiosity mixed with fear. Lyra had never seen a human before, but she had heard stories about them. They were said to be strong and brave. Maybe this human could help. With the invaders still causing chaos, Lyra made her way toward the wreckage. The ship was smoking, and she could hear someone inside groaning in pain. Taking a deep breath, she stepped closer. A man was struggling to get out. He wore a uniform with strange symbols and had a look of determination on his face. "Hey, are you okay?" she called out, her voice trembling. The man looked up, surprised to see her. His face was bruised, but his blue eyes sparkled with hope. "I'm fine," he said, trying to stand. "But I need to get away from here." "The enemy is coming!" Without thinking, Lyra pointed to the dense forest nearby. "Follow me. I know a safe place." The human hesitated for a moment, glancing back at his damaged ship. But he saw the fear in Lyra's eyes and quickly decided to trust her. Together, they ran toward the trees, the sounds of destruction fading behind them. Once they reached the forest, they found a small clearing where they could hide. The trees were thick, providing cover from the enemy. They stopped to catch their breath. Lyra looked at the human, her heart still racing. "What is your name?" "Sergeant Jake," he replied, wiping sweat from his brow. "And you are?" "Lyra," she said, smiling slightly. "Thank you for coming here. My village needs help. The invaders are strong, and they are hurting my people." Jake nodded, his expression serious. "I will help you, Lyra, but first we need to stay hidden. Can you tell me more about these invaders?" Lyra took a deep breath and began to explain. "They come from another world. They want to take our land and resources. They don't care about us or our way of life. They only want power." Jake listened carefully. He felt a surge of anger at the thought of innocent people being hurt. "We need to find a way to fight back. Do you have any weapons?" Lyra shook her head. "We have some old tools, but they are not strong enough against the invaders' guns." Suddenly, a loud crash came from the direction of the village. The noise echoed through the trees, and both Jake and Lyra jumped. "They're coming this way!" Jake said, his voice urgent. "Quick! Follow me." Lyra led him deeper into the forest, where the trees were thicker, hoping to lose the invaders. As they ran, Jake felt a strange connection to this young alien girl. She was brave and determined despite her fear. He admired her strength. "We will get through this," he promised her. "I won't let them hurt you or your village." Lyra glanced up at him, her eyes shining with hope. "Thank you, Jake. You are the first human I've ever met. I never thought I would need your help." They continued to run, but Lyra felt something change within her. She had always believed in the power of her people, but now she was beginning to understand that humans could be allies. Together, they could fight against the darkness threatening her world. As they reached a small hill, they stopped to catch their breath. From their vantage point, they could see the village, still in chaos. Lyra's heart sank at the sight. "We have to do something," she said, determination rising in her voice. Jake nodded, feeling the weight of their mission. "We will find a way to stop them, together." Little did they know, their journey was just beginning, and the bond between a human soldier and an alien girl would lead them to unexpected places. Jake and Lyra sat on the small hill, catching their breath. Below them, the village was still in chaos. Smoke rose into the sky, and the sounds of destruction echoed through the air. Lyra's heart ached for her home. She felt helpless, but she knew she couldn't give up. "Lyra," Jake said, breaking the silence, "we need a plan. I can't just stand by while your people are in danger. What do you think we should do?" Lyra looked at him, surprised by his willingness to help. "We have to find a way to fight back. The invaders have weapons, and they are strong, but we know the land better than they do." The battle raged outside as Zorak and his crew prepared to defend their newly discovered legacy. The Gorlath Empire's ships surrounded them, their weapons ready to fire. The crew of Starfire was anxious but determined to protect the secrets of humanity. Zorak gripped the controls, his heart pounding. "Lyra, how many ships are we facing?" "5 Gorlath ships," Lyra replied, her voice steady. "They are well armed and coming in fast." "Activate the shields!" Zorak commanded. The AI responded instantly, surrounding Starfire with a shimmering blue barrier. The crew braced themselves, ready for the impending attack. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the AI spoke again. "Incoming fire!" Zorak's fingers danced over the controls, dodging the incoming blasts. "We need to strike back!" "Aim the weapons at their lead ship." With a loud hum, the ship's weapons powered up. "Firing!" Lyra shouted, pressing the button. A burst of energy shot out, hitting the lead Gorlath ship. The impact caused an explosion, sending debris flying. "Good shot!" Zorak yelled, adrenaline fueling his confidence. "Keep firing! We can't let them breach our defenses." The crew worked in unison, their training paying off. Just as the battle seemed to sway in their favor, a voice crackled over the comm system. "This is Captain Thal of the Vargoth Alliance. We have received your distress signal and are here to help." Zorak's heart soared. "Finally, reinforcements!" As the Vargoth ships arrived, they joined the fight. The sky lit up with energy blasts and explosions, the sounds of war echoing through the air. The Gorlath Empire was not prepared for the combined force of the Vargoth and Zalarians. "Captain Thal, focus on their rear ships," Zorak shouted into the comms. "We'll handle the front." With renewed energy, the Vargoth ships moved into position, targeting the rear Gorlath vessels. The tide of battle began to shift. The crew cheered as they watched the Gorlath ships take hits, their formation breaking apart. As the battle continued, Zorak noticed a strange energy signature on his radar. "AI, what is that?" "I am detecting an unknown vessel approaching," the AI replied. "It seems to be an ancient human ship." "A human ship?" Zorak's eyes widened. "We have to investigate after the battle." With the help of the Vargoth Alliance, the Gorlath ships were pushed back. The battle ended with a decisive victory for Zorak's team. The crew erupted in cheers, feeling the thrill of triumph. Once the last Gorlath ship fled, Zorak and Lyra breathed a sigh of relief. "We did it!" she exclaimed. But Zorak was already thinking ahead. "We need to check on that human ship. It could hold more secrets." They turned their attention to the approaching vessel. As it got closer, they saw it was an old, battered craft. "It looks like it hasn't been used in centuries," Lyra observed. As they approached, the ship's AI flickered to life. "Greetings, visitors. I am the AI of the Hope of Humanity. This vessel holds records of Earth's final days." Zorak felt a chill run down his spine. "Final days? What happened to humanity?" The AI responded, "Humanity faced great challenges, but they left this ship behind as a symbol of hope. It contains advanced technology and knowledge meant for future generations." Zorak exchanged glances with Lyra, realizing the weight of this moment. They were not just protecting the past, they were shaping the future. "Can we access the information?" Zorak asked. "Affirmative." "Please prepare for data transfer," the AI replied. As the data began to upload, Zorak felt a sense of purpose. This was their chance to rebuild and create a new era. The legacy of humanity would live on through them. With the knowledge of the ancient ship, Zorak and the crew of Starfire could enhance their fleet and continue their mission. They could forge alliances and protect Earth's secrets from those who would seek to destroy them. "Today marks a new beginning," Zorak said, addressing his crew and the Vargoth Alliance. "We stand united. Together we will honor the legacy of humanity and protect our home." The crew erupted in cheers once more. They knew they were part of something greater now. They were the guardians of a new era, one where knowledge, strength, and unity would lead the way. As they sailed through the stars, they felt a renewed sense of hope. The universe was vast, but they were no longer alone. Together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. For the legacy of humanity had awakened, and it would not fade into darkness again. As they approached the camp, they could see the invaders more clearly. Some were standing guard, while others were celebrating their victory with loud cheers. In the center of the camp, Lyra spotted a group of her people tied up and looking scared. Her heart sank. "There they are!" she whispered urgently. "We have to save them!" Jake nodded, his mind racing. "We need a distraction. If we can draw the guards away, we can free them." Lyra thought for a moment. "I can use my bow. If I shoot an arrow into the trees, it will make a loud noise. The guards will go to check it out. That's a great idea, Jake said, feeling hopeful. Let's do it. They found a spot where they could see the guards without being seen. Lyra readied her bow, aiming carefully at a branch high above the camp. She took a deep breath and released the arrow. It flew through the air, hitting the branch with a loud crack. The guards immediately turned, their eyes wide with surprise. "Go! Now!" Jake shouted, and they rushed toward the camp, moving as quietly as possible. As they reached the group of captured villagers, Jake quickly began working on the ropes binding them. "Hold still," he whispered, using his knife to cut through the tough cords. Lyra kept watch, her heart pounding. "Hurry! We don't have much time." Finally, the last villager was free. "Thank you," the villager said, relief washing over her face. "We thought we would never get out." Jake and Lyra exchanged quick smiles. "We're not done yet," Jake reminded them. "We need to move before they come back." Just then, the sound of shouting filled the air. One of the guards had discovered the broken branch and was running back to the camp. "They're coming!" Lyra yelled, panic rising in her chest. "We have to go now!" They led the villagers away from the camp, moving swiftly through the trees. Jake and Lyra took the lead, guiding everyone along the path they had used earlier. Suddenly, they heard the sound of footsteps behind them. The guards had realized something was wrong and were searching the forest. "Keep moving!" Jake urged, glancing back. He could see shadows moving among the trees, searching for them. Lyra's heart raced as they pushed forward. She could hear the guards shouting, and she knew they had to act quickly. "We can't let them catch us," she said, fear in her voice. As they reached the edge of the forest, Jake spotted a large boulder. "Over there! We can hide behind that rock!" he called out. They quickly scrambled behind the boulder, holding their breath as the guards ran past them. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest. She was terrified but determined to protect her people. Once the guards were gone, Jake and Lyra exchanged relieved glances. "We made it," Lyra whispered, a smile breaking through her fear. But they knew the danger wasn't over. The guards would soon realize the villagers were missing and would come looking for them. They needed to get back to safety and prepare for the next step in their fight against the invaders. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The night air was thick with tension as Jake, Lyra, and the rescued villagers gathered in a hidden clearing deep in the forest. The moon cast a soft glow illuminating their worried faces. They had escaped the invaders, but the battle was far from over. "Now, what do we do?" one villager asked, his voice trembling. "We're safe for now, but the invaders will come back." Lyra took a deep breath, her heart pounding with both fear and determination. "We need to prepare for a fight. We can't let them destroy our home. We will show them we are not afraid." Jake nodded in agreement. "We have to defend your village. We have some weapons, and we can use the forest to our advantage." He looked at Lyra, who was already thinking ahead. "We need to train everyone," she said, her voice steady. "We must work together as a team. If we fight as one, we can beat them." The villagers murmured among themselves, unsure but willing to follow Lyra. She had proven her bravery, and they felt a spark of hope. They gathered their old weapons and prepared to train. Lyra showed them how to throw spears and use bows, just as she had taught Jake. The villagers listened carefully, practicing with determination. Jake moved among them, offering tips and encouragement. He could see their spirits rising as they trained. Hours passed, and the first light of dawn broke through the trees. The clearing was filled with the sounds of clashing wood and laughter. For the first time in days, there was hope among the villagers. But as they trained, a sense of unease hung in the air. "What if the invaders attack while we're not ready?" one villager asked. Jake exchanged a worried glance with Lyra. "We need to be ready for anything. We should keep watch." Lyra nodded. "I'll take the first watch with you, Jake." Together, they stood at the edge of the clearing, watching for any signs of danger. As the sun rose higher, the villagers grew more confident. They worked together, building traps and setting up defenses around the clearing. Jake and Lyra knew that soon the invaders would come, and they needed to be ready. Suddenly, a loud horn echoed through the forest, cutting through the morning calm. The sound was sharp and harsh, and it sent a chill down everyone's spine. "The invaders!" a villager shouted, panic spreading like wildfire. "They're here!" Jake felt his heart race. "Everyone, to your positions!" he yelled, trying to keep calm. The villagers quickly moved to their hiding spots, clutching their weapons tightly. Lyra stood beside Jake, determination shining in her eyes. "We can do this," she said. "We've trained hard. We know our home. As the invaders approached, their heavy footsteps shook the ground. The guards were laughing, thinking they had nothing to fear. But Jake and Lyra had a plan. "Wait for my signal," Jake whispered to Lyra. "When I say go, we strike." They watched as the invaders entered the clearing, looking around with smug smiles. Jake raised his hand, ready to give the signal. He could see the guards were careless, confident in their numbers. "Now!" Jake shouted, and the villagers sprang into action. They emerged from their hiding spots, throwing spears and firing arrows at the surprised invaders. The sudden attack caught the invaders off guard. Jake felt a surge of adrenaline as he joined the fight, charging forward with Lyra by his side. They fought with all their strength, determined to protect their home. Lyra fired her bow, hitting one of the invaders squarely in the chest. She felt a mix of fear and triumph as she saw the enemy fall. "We can do this!" she shouted, rallying her people. The villagers fought bravely, their fear replaced by a fierce determination. They moved together, using the traps they had set up to their advantage. The invaders struggled to keep up, and soon confusion spread among their ranks. "Push them back!" Jake yelled, leading a charge. They drove the invaders deeper into the forest, where the dense trees and underbrush slowed them down. But just as victory seemed within reach, a loud voice boomed through the chaos. "Fall back! Regroup!" It was the leader of the invaders, a tall figure clad in dark armor. The villagers froze, fear gripping their hearts. Jake turned to Lyra, their eyes locking in understanding. "We can't let them retreat," he said urgently. "If they regroup, they will come back stronger. We have to take out their leader," Lyra replied, her voice firm. "If we can defeat him, the rest will scatter." Together, they charged toward the leader, determination driving them forward. As they fought their way through the remaining guards, they could see the invader leader preparing to unleash a powerful attack. With a final burst of strength, Jake and Lyra lunged forward, ready to fight for their future. The battle had begun, and they would not back down. The sun dipped low in the sky, painting the forest in shades of orange and red. The battle had ended, but the air was still thick with tension and uncertainty. Jake and Lyra stood among the remains of the fierce conflict, their hearts pounding from the adrenaline and the weight of what they had just faced. They had fought bravely against the invaders, and their teamwork had proven effective. The enemy had been pushed back, but the cost was heavy. Many villagers were wounded, and some had not made it through the fight. The sight of their fallen friends filled Lyra with sadness. "We did our best," Jake said softly, trying to comfort her. "We showed them we won't give up. We fought for what matters." Lyra nodded, tears in her eyes. "But we lost so much. How can we rebuild after this?" Jake placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll find a way. Together! We have each other, and we have the strength of our people." He looked around at the villagers who were gathering their courage, helping each other and tending to the wounded. "Look at them. They are still here, ready to stand with us." As the villagers began to regroup, Jake called for a meeting. He knew they needed to come together and discuss their next steps. "Listen, everyone!" he shouted, raising his voice above the murmurs. "We fought bravely today, and we've pushed the invaders back. But we can't let our guard down. They will return." In the vastness of space, there floated a small but mighty ship called the Vanguard. This was no ordinary vessel, it belonged to humanity. The ship was sleek, with sharp edges and powerful engines. It had been built to defend Earth against any threats from the galaxy. Captain Elena Carter was in command, and she was a fierce and brave leader. She stood on the bridge, looking at the stars through the large view screen. But peace in space was fragile. The Galactic Empire, a powerful force that ruled many worlds, had heard of the Vanguard. They saw it as a challenge, a threat that could not be allowed to exist. Their elite fleet, full of advanced ships and soldiers, was sent to hunt down Captain Carter. They believed that one human ship was easy prey. As the Empire's ships approached, Captain Carter felt a mix of fear and determination. She knew they were coming for her. The Empire's ships were huge, with many guns and armor. In contrast, the Vanguard was much smaller, and she was alone. But Carter had something the Empire did not. She had spirit and a clever mind. "Prepare for battle!" she shouted, her voice strong. The crew, a small group of brave volunteers, jumped into action. They knew the risks, but they believed in their captain. They believed in their mission. Each member of the crew took their position, ready to fight for their home. On the screens, the Empire's fleet appeared, dark and threatening. There were 10 ships, each one larger than the Vanguard. They were filled with soldiers who thought they were invincible. Their commander, a ruthless leader named Admiral Varnak, laughed as he saw the lone human ship on his radar. "Look at that little thing," Varnak sneered. "It thinks it can challenge us. Prepare to engage! This will be over quickly." Captain Carter watched the enemy ships move closer. She could hear her heart pounding in her chest. But she remained calm. She knew the Empire was overconfident, and that was their weakness. "Let them come," she whispered to herself, a determined smile on her face. She remembered the training and the tactics they had practiced. She would use every trick she had to outsmart the enemy. As the enemy ships opened fire, bright beams of energy shot towards the vanguard. Captain Carter shouted orders, guiding her ship with skill. "Evasive maneuvers! Turn to starboard!" The crew quickly followed her commands. The vanguard twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding the blasts. The crew worked together, their hearts racing with excitement and fear. Varnak was furious. "Why can't we hit it?" he shouted to his officers. The human ship was small and fast, and it moved like a flash of light. The Empire's ship struggled to keep up. Meanwhile, Captain Carter had an idea. "Let's counterattack!" she yelled. "Aim for the lead ship!" The crew cheered and quickly readied the ship's weapons. The vanguard fired back, sending bright shots of energy towards the Empire's lead ship. The blast hit its target, causing an explosion that lit up the dark space. Varnak's laughter turned to shock. "They actually hit us!" he yelled, his face turning red with anger. The other ships in the fleet hesitated. They were not used to being attacked by a single ship. Seeing their confusion, Captain Carter pushed her advantage. "Keep firing! Don't give them a chance to regroup!" The crew focused and fought harder than ever. The battle raged on, and for the first time, the Empire felt fear. The humans were showing bravery and skill, proving that even one ship could make a difference. As the battle continued, hope began to spark among the humans. Captain Carter's defiance inspired them all. And so, in that moment, the stage was set for a great conflict between humanity and the Galactic Empire. The battle was fierce as the vanguard zipped through the stars, dodging blasts from the massive ships of the Galactic Empire. Captain Elena Carter stood firm at the control panel, her eyes focused and determined. She knew this was just the beginning of a fight for survival, and she was ready to show the Empire that humans were not to be underestimated. On the bridge, the crew worked together like a well-oiled machine. Each member had a job, and they executed their tasks with precision. The sound of alarms and explosions filled the air, but their spirits were high. They were fighting for Earth, their homes, and their freedom. "Captain, we have incoming fire from the left!" shouted Mia, the weapons officer. "Adjust our shields! Keep us moving!" Carter replied, her voice steady. She felt a rush of adrenaline as she maneuvered the vanguard to the left, avoiding a deadly blast. The ship felt alive beneath her, responding to her commands.